I can't believe this is happening, but I just packed my first bag for the Lady Secrets tour. We have 15 dates starting in Chicago on September 13th, which is so soon. We just saw Nick Viall today. He's going to be our special guest in Chicago, and we also have more guests being announced, but Chicago, Philly, Boston, New York City, Columbus, Ohio. You are up first. We are so excited. Every single ticket comes with a signed copy of Lady Secrets. Please head over to ladygang.com/tour. Please purchase your ticket as soon as possible. It's going to help us figure out how many books to get and all of these things. And we're just so honored and like really pumped to spend time with you. We have such a great show planned. I got to be honest, it's the best show we've ever done. So we'll see you on tour, theladygang.com/tour. Get your tickets now. I know a few of the cities are really close to selling out, so I don't want you to miss out. And we'll see you there. This episode of Lady Gang is brought to you by the new Hyundai Palisade. When it comes to your journey, Hyundai is thinking of every mile. Learn more at HyundaiUSA.com.
Well, what is this?
Welcome to the Lady Gang.
That's amazing. Say that again.
The Lady Gang.
Things are about to change around here.
Each week, we catch up with Hollywood's hottest girl posse. Kelty Knight, Becca Tobin, and Jack Vanek.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Lady Gang. I am Becca Tobin here with Jack Vanek and Kelty Knight.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
I just had a nervous
Mediocre.
poop for some reason right before we started this. I don't know why I'm nervous. Just because it didn't come with me forcing it to happen, you know? Like, it was just a random.
So that's just a normal poop.
Yes.
So not nervous.
But
Have you changed anything in your diet the last few days?
No. It wasn't a great one. It was just like, I'm like, I don't know. I have like a little bit of anxiety or like nervousness. Maybe it's just because we have such a great guest on later. And I don't know. I'm just getting nervous about it.
Okay. Wow. Unexplained nerves.
All right. Well, in honor of your great poop or decent poop that you didn't have to force, it's time for
Good Week.
Yes, it is.
Bad Week. Oh, no.
I have to go first because mine is very intense.
Okay.
I have proof that we are living in a simulation.
Oh, I have so much proof of this, but go ahead.
I know that I am the main character and that you are all Sims. And I know this for sure 100%. 1,000 million trillion %. And I'm going to tell you why. This is both my good week and my bad week. Okay. This is just, it's all together. So, as you know, the internet can be a really cruel place. And I think that, it's a weird thing that we do as women to each other. I am guilty of this, not placing blame on anyone, but we all do it where, you know, there's a part of us that sees someone else like doing great. And then you're instantly like, am I great? Am I failing? Like the comparison is the thief of joy. And then there's the thing where if you're not deeply in therapy and you're not like catching yourself in that moment where you automatically go and are just like super hard on other women because you're like, I need to bring you down because you're too good at womanhood and I need you to be like down on my level. Right. So I had one of those days and I was calling my brother and we were having a conversation and he says to me, Kelty, it's crabs in a bucket. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, no, this is like the crabs in the bucket theory. And I was like, excuse me, what are you talking about? And he's like, it's proven, and there's TED Talks on it. And he sent me a TED Talk where if you put one crab in a bucket, it will figure its way to crawl out and escape the bucket. If you put 20 crabs in a bucket, as soon as one crab starts to crawl out of the bucket, the other crabs pull that crab down. And it's like isn't that crazy? It's a whole thing about how it works. And then there's I'll send you guys the TED Talk, but like, then there's all these studies that humans have the same thing in our brain. It's like we're competitive. I need to eat in the forest, like billions of years old psyche thing is that when we're all crabs in the bucket. And when we see someone crawling out of the bucket, we're got to pull that crab down. Okay. So this really made sense to me. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to give compassion to the other crabs in my bucket. If they see me crawling, of course, it's like they have to do this. And I've done it, anyway. So that's like crabs in a bucket, that's my bad week, like that I felt that way. So the good week is I know we're in a simulation because I've never heard the crabs in the bucket. How many times can I say crabs in a bucket? Crabs in a bucket.
My God.
I've never heard about this before. I got really into it. I listened to that TED Talk probably 5 times. It brought me great comfort. So then recently you guys know I'm in this book club, the Literati Book Club, and every month they send me a book. And for the last year, I've been Cheryl Strayed, who wrote Wild's book club. And I recently, after we had Tinks on our podcast, switched my subscription from Cheryl to be a part of Tinks book club because I wanted to see what she was offering. So I got my first Tinks book club book, and it happened to be Vivica A. Fox's Memoir. Now, I'm not really a Vivica Fox fan. I would never buy this book, but that's what's cool about the book club is they send you the book and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to read it. If Tink said it was good, I'll read it, even though this is not my type of book. I swear to God, page 3, Vivica goes into a dissertation of crabs in a bucket. This is the next day, guys. The next day, she's like, you have to know that everyone has this crabs in a bucket. I was like, crabs in a bucket is everywhere. So the simulation clearly made people hate me on the internet, and I felt shitty. I complained to my brother. He explained, my sim number 1 brother explained crabs in a bucket. My Sims book club gave me the book. I read it on page 3. Vivica Fox, why the hell am I reading the Vivica Fox book, is explaining crabs in a bucket. The whole universe, the whole Sims is coming together to make me feel okay about my struggles. I am the main character. You are a figment of my imagination.
Well, I have really bad news for you. I know you think the universe revolves around yourself, but that's actually something I like to call, or not I, the professionals, the scientific researchers of life. It's called Bader Meinhof. It is what happens when you become aware of something and suddenly it starts popping up all over your life.
It's like you think about like a red car and then all of a sudden you see so many red cars on the freeway.
Yes. It's an interesting phenomenon and it's absolutely real. And what would have happened
crabs in a bucket?
Yeah, it's not a simulation. I hate to tell you this, but it's also,
well, it is. I mean, we are in one.
Are we all being like? I need to know like what the.
I don't think that there's a main character of the simulation, like Kelty is saying. Like she is saying that she is the simulation. She is character 1. I don't know about that one.
Or maybe life just happens, life is meaningless and then we all die.
Anyway,
some are lucky and some
crabs
are not.
In a bucket. Don't pull me down, bitches. Let me get out of my own bucket. Thanks.
Well, the way that I would start to think about it is when you start having those feelings of wanting to pull somebody out of a bucket, just be like, you've already made your way out of the bucket. So it's not, you're living outside the bucket at this
You're
point.
creating your own new bucket.
You're in your own bucket. There's no need to even bother with other people because they're also out of the bucket and we're all out and we're on the beach and we're free. We don't need to pay attention to each other so much.
Yeah. Just stay in your own bucket.
Stay in your own bucket and crawl out when you want because you're alone. Don't ever be social is also a great lesson from this. Okay, continue on.
So that was good and bad week. Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay, so my good week is I just started using Time Hop. Do you guys use Time Hop? It shows you like what's on your phone from a year ago, 2 years ago from that day.
Pictures, right?
Pictures that are on your phone. So I found something great on Time Hop, and it was from 5 years ago, and it's a screenshot with the man that got away.
What?
Josh Groban.
Oh my God.
A text, which I was like, I forgot that I matched with Josh Groban on Raya 5 years ago. And we must have exchanged numbers. I never met him. But the text is from a conversation that we were just like going back and forth. And then the last thing on the text said, I'm glad you're weird as well as gorgeous. Oh. Josh Groban.
Joshy poo.
I was like, excuse, what a compliment. I mean, that's pretty much the best compliment that one can be given. Why did he say
you were weird? What did you say?
Because it doesn't make any sense. Our conversation doesn't make any sense, but we're going back and forth with some bantery kind of a thing.
Is this when you were taking like a lot of sleeping pills and then texting?
Yes, it was around that time. Maybe it's why I don't really remember much of I don't remember that I ever got his phone number, but I'm like, wow. He really is the one that got away. I wonder what he's doing these days. So that's my good week. My bad week is I got an email from some gal named Jaylee Mathers, and I'm going to read it to you. And there's a lot of bleeps in this email.
Okay.
It says, ugly, see you next Tuesday. Whoa. Ugly, bleep, 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 looking whore with an ugly face and body, and your ugly friends are trash like your ugly bleep looking bleep boyfriend, and that other skinny bleep bleep is trash too. Like that ugly pathetic bleep suck an ugly dick ugly bitch.
Sounds like it was written by me because it seems like it's trashing everyone in your life except me because Kelty's clearly the skinny bleep.
Wait, really? I didn't bring myself into that. And
you guys, I don't know what this email is from. I don't know if it was maybe not meant for me, but it was such a wild website. No,
did it come to your actual email address?
Yes, jack@jackvanek.com. I'm not sure if she meant to write mac@jackvanek.com and it got accidentally sent my way.
So this person went out of their way to spell out Jack Vanek. So it's for you.
It's for me.
Who is this person?
I don't know. I should probably look her up on Instagram. I'm sorry if I did anything to make you that mad.
But she wrote out bleep?
No. There are a lot of slurs and things in there that are not appropriate.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yikes.
Well, she wanted you back in her crab bucket.
She did. She's trying to pull me out of the bucket.
No, she's pulling you back into the bucket.
I mean, into the bucket.
She sees you getting out with your TikTok fame, and she wants you back in that goddamn bucket.
No, sorry.
You know, you are going to open yourself up to a lot of things like this with TikTok with your fame. So I want you to be ready.
I'm ready. See, that didn't hurt me. It didn't knock me down. Like, it's not bringing me down to the bucket.
Good for you.
Great.
Wow. What's your bad week? Is that the bad week or the good week?
That was the bad week. That was the bad week. Becca?
Okay. So my bad week is that Ford only takes shits at between 4 and 5 a.m. So you can imagine what's going on at this house. He sleeps through the night. He's a wonderful sleeper. And if it weren't for these shits, he would probably sleep later. But he has been doing this literally for days in a row, for days and weeks in a row. Occasionally we'll get a relief and he'll sleep later and he won't have done it. I'm not sure what to do. Are there any mothers out there? I obviously can't shift his feeding schedule because that's not possible. So yeah, that's what we're currently dealing with. And Zach's
so when he poops, does he wake up?
Yeah. I know even if he's not screaming his face off, he's like getting a little fussy. He's making some noises. Around. And I'm like, I would normally just leave him if I thought he was just waking up for no reason. And then he'd go back to bed.
Can't leave him
the fact that we know there's shit in his diaper 9 times out of 10, it's like really, and then you can't change his diaper. By the time you've changed his diaper, it's like putting him back in the crib. There's no way he's going to sleep for another 30 minutes or whatever he's supposed to wake up. So that's what we're dealing with. It's a delight and a joy. And my good week is that there were an overwhelming amount of people sending me a picture on Instagram recently. I guess Drake, as we know him, Champagne Poppy on Instagram, did a story, posted a story, and it was just this woman in the picture, and he says, tried to airdrop this woman a picture of herself because she's a dime. And I had so many people say, is it you? Is this you? Is this you? And one person even said, this looks like if you and Kelty had a baby.
Wait, I need to see the picture.
I got to show you. Hold on. We'll post this. I don't know. Are we allowed to post this on Instagram?
Yeah. I feel like it looks like you mixed with
Kelty.
Well, it's a big forehead, so that's where they're getting the Kelty. But the rest is way too pretty to be me. The hairline is the hairline of my dreams, so it looks like you, Becca, I think.
It does look like you.
I mean,
especially from afar.
She looks gorgeous.
50.
She looks rich.
Well, this is what I was going to say. It looks like you. It kind of looks like Sarah Paulson a little bit to me.
Anyways, it was
doesn't
just
look
a lot
like
of people.
You now. It looks like what you will look like when you're 50.
What I took from that is that Drake thinks I'm attractive.
Yep.
So
there you go.
That's where I'm going.
All you needed.
Take whatever takeaway you need.
Also, I love that Drake is just out there airdropping pictures to beautiful women of themselves. I mean,
how does he know it was to her though? Like when you airdrop, you don't know who you're sending shit to.
Something
to the ether.
I guess they have an icon of their faces sometimes, so you can be like, oh, that might be her. So All right. Well, I'm excited about our guest, so let's get to it.
Woohoo!
How exciting that getting a pimple doesn't have to be as much of a bummer thanks to Starface. So you've seen these cute star-shaped pimple patches on people like Hailey Bieber. That's right. Those are the Starface best-selling Hydro Stars, 100% hydrocolloid pimple patch that helps reduce inflammation, absorb fluid, and shrink spots overnight. So aside from the pimple patches, they also have a full line of skincare essentials that you need to build out your routine. And it includes the return of their viral collaboration with Hello Kitty. How nostalgic. I mean, how adorable. So one of my favorites right now is definitely the Clear as Day SPF 46, Starface's award-winning sunscreen for acne-prone skin. We love it. You can shop the entire Starface collection at starface.world. And for a limited time, Starface is offering all LadyGang listeners 15% off one-time purchase at checkout with code LadyGang. Again, that's code LadyGang for 15% off a one-time purchase at starface.world. You can also find Starface products at Target, Walmart, CVS, and Amazon in the U.S., as well as Boots and Superdrug in the U.K. So by now you know about the delicious, cold, refreshing Coors Light, but did you know that they are doing so much to protect the environment? That's right. They were the first to introduce recyclable aluminum cans in the 50s and later introduced cash for cans, kicking off aluminum recycling in America. And now they're removing plastic rings entirely and using a new, more sustainable cardboard wrap pack instead. So it's like a win-win. You get the frostiest, most delicious beer, and then you get someone who cares about the environment. That's right. And I love them so much because they are changing the game. All major Coors Light breweries are zero waste to landfill, meaning 99.99% of waste is reused or recycled. That's right. They have saved 1.1 billion gallons of water since 2016. That's roughly 1,700 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So reach for the beer that's made to chill and made for more sustainable future. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/lady. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Now back to the Lady Gang.
All right. We're very excited to welcome back to the podcast one of only two people in the history of LadyGang that has had 3 episodes dedicated to them. Spencer Pratt and our fabulous hormone health educator, Candace Burch. So Candace is back. If you haven't listened to the first 2 episodes with her, we met her, I think, in 2016. So her background is incredible. She, in 2017, founded Your Hormone Balance. Her website is a one-on-one consulting practice. She's now joined by her 2 amazing daughters, Ryan and Jess, and they do nutrition and all kinds of coaching and a newsletter that's amazing and a website. She worked as a health editor, writer, and investigative journalist in London. She was a leading educational patient and provider at the ZRT Hormone Laboratory and the director of education there for 12 years. And she is just everything about hormones, disease prevention. She's a writer, speaker, podcaster. And we basically started to feel like we're going through perimenopause, so we had to have her back to explain that. And you can check all of her work out at yourhormonebalance.com. So please welcome back to the LadyGang podcast, Candice Burch.
Wow, what an intro. I hope I can live up to it.
I mean, we know you're going to live up to it.
You always do.
Yeah, we know.
Just say before we get started, this is something I'm learning later in our podcasting, is that, you know, we're going to talk about medical stuff during this episode. There is nothing like going to your doctor, and everyone's treatment is theirs and different. And so any recommendations that you hear on this show, they are opinions of LadyGang and Candace only, and it may not work for you. It might not be the thing. So we don't want a bunch of messages that are like, this is, not the way. Whatever works for you, you do you. But Candace is going to offer her insight and her genius on this subject, and we're going to talk about it. And I hope that you guys learn some things. And if nothing else, you know what to ask your people when you go to the doctor next time. So let's get started.
Okay.
All right, Kelsey?
Kelsey, that you need to lead still.
You're right. Okay.
We're still on.
The first thing I want to talk about is, I think, something that we're all going through because we've just come out. I mean, we're not out of COVID, but we've just come out of being most people vaccinated for COVID. And we know that this with our periods, and with ourselves. And so are you noticing any trends in like post-COVID hormones, or what can we do to kind of get ourselves back? Or did I just make that up and I just had a bad period and blamed it on something?
No, I mean, I think there hasn't been a lot of research into the COVID thing, but there's definitely some data out of Scandinavia, actually, that has shown that a good 53, I think it was like over 53% of women have experienced changes in their periods, the length or the flow, more severe PMS, like over 40% in this particular study, not to be confused with permanent changes. Mm-hmm. I think, we have to look at sort of ambient stress, the background of stress that has been with us for a couple of, 2.5 years now. Yeah. And we know that stress can absolutely disrupt ovulation, and the kind of stress that is ongoing, back burner, just, becomes the background of our lives, and we're just feeling uncertain and unbalanced and out of sync and out of sorts. And I think that's probably what's messing with the whole, the cycle. And then also there are immune responses when we have a period. The menstrual cycle is absolutely linked in with immunities because we need those antibodies and our immune system to help us clear out. Every time we have a period, we've got there's possible bacteria in there, and we need to do, it's a cleansing, right? So it's a kind of a detox every time we have a cycle, and the immune system is thought to be linked in and connected with that. So therefore, we can have some immune responses where people feel, maybe more prone to being sick, not bouncing back, having allergies or asthma, that kind of thing. But I don't see in the research that it's a permanent kind of thing, and hopefully we're moving out of it. But I don't think that that's the main, this just kind of morphs into the whole question of stress and disrupted periods and early perimenopause kinds of issues. And I think people can be and have been catapulted into an early perimenopause maybe sooner than they would have had it not been for these last 2.5 years of angst,
Got it. So on the first two times you were here, we talked a lot about hormone basics and all of those things. And so there's two kind of things that I really want to dig into today. And the first is something that Becca brought up on a podcast just a couple weeks ago. And we've known, but I really want to get into it, which is the beauty products. And you talk a lot about this on your Instagram and your newsletter, about these beauty products and everything we're layering on us, messing with our hormones. And it seems so strange that the world would allow products to be made that are somehow messing. But how does that work, and what can we do to help ourselves moving forward?
Yeah, in this country, we have, in America, I'm in England, where they don't allow a lot of these chemicals, or in Europe, there's something like 1,400 chemicals that are not allowed in skin products or beauty products. But in our country, of course, not only are they allowed, but they're not regulated. In fact, the Cosmetic Safety Act, which was first initiated in 1938, that's something like 80 plus years ago, has not been updated since then. So we have cosmetic companies, and the beauty industry is how many billions of dollars a year, that do not have to list all the ingredients in their product. They are not accountable for any adverse events that may have even been reported to them by users. And really, there's just no accountability. So we have to get very savvy and read ingredients. You have to become your own private detective. And I always say, if you see a product that has a ton of ingredients on the back listed, a mile long, half of which you can't pronounce, you want to avoid that product. And we have a lot of options. But the issue is that a lot of these chemicals they're called endocrine disruptors or estrogen mimickers, meaning they can, some of these chemicals like parabens or BPAs, or, there's a million different chemicals that you've heard about. Laureth sulfate is in all shampoos. You want to, avoid that stuff. Look for those things. A lot of these chemicals, for some reason, mimic estrogens. So then we get into this estrogen dominant situation where we have all the adverse effects of having too much estrogen, and all the other hormones are being sort of deregulated or downregulated as the chemicals overstimulate. So, knowing, going to environmentalworkinggroup.org is a perfect resource. There's something on there called Skin Deep. You can look into a particular product that you're using and see how toxic and how disruptive it is. But basically, you want to look for products that just say no artificial hormones are used. But with cosmetics, we don't really know. I mean, they can use placental tissue in a cosmetic that can have hormones in it. So we have to sort of just really choose products that claim, hopefully they're not lying to us, that claim to be natural. I mean, we have a couple good companies that I like to recommend, Beauty Counter, and there's another company I like called Thrive Cosmetics that has great products, just all natural without any toxins in it. So I think the best and easiest way to go is to check out environmentalworkinggroup.org, and then some of these companies that we know are trying to do the right thing.
But Candace, I guess when you're saying this, I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, Kelty, go through your caboodle and figure out. And
it's not that hard.
When you purchase, no, I know that, but it's it doesn't make sense to me. I feel like I'm wearing some lotion, some serum, how could it possibly that much be seeping into my skin to cause this disruption? Wouldn't you just have to be wearing so much lipstick? I don't know.
Well, is it a combination of all of the things that you're wearing on a daily basis that is affecting your system constantly, right?
I think there's something like 14 different products women are applying every day. You're talking about hair products, shampoos,
body lotions,
different moisturizers. And I see in test results of women who are using any kind of anti-aging products, I see elevated estrogen levels all the time.
Great.
With things like retinol or all kinds of things. And I'll have to say, are you, sometimes these are menopausal women who aren't making much hormone. Their ovaries are packed up and they're not really producing that much hormone. And yet their levels are sky high. It's where the hell is this coming from?
Wow.
It's got to be. So then the question becomes, what are you using on your skin? I remember talking to a woman who's been using a product for the last 15 years, the same product, day after day after day. And I mean, people slather this stuff on, if you think of the skin creams and the face creams and the hair products, there's just tons of it. Even fragrances are endocrine disruptors because of all the chemicals that they have in them. But yeah, this stuff we're inhaling it. It's on our skin. Our skin is the largest organ in the body that we're rubbing it in. It's all, this stuff is going in and wreaking havoc, really.
And I never understood. I was like, so what? It's a chemical. I need my hair to look good. I need to soak off the acid. I need the acetone to soak off my gels, blah, blah, blah. Well, someone really close to me just had estrogen positive breast cancer. And I didn't realize, because I'm a dum-dum, that all of those synthetic hormones or the hormone disruptors are actually probably most likely the cause for a lot of women who have breast cancer, that specific type, because it's the overflow of estrogen, right?
Yes, and estrogen is really, when we recall that estrogen is a growth hormone, a very potent growth hormone. It's the hormone that grew all our female organs. It gave us our curves, our breasts, our ovaries, our uterus, thank God. But, hey, you got to control that. It's estrogen that grows the egg and the ovary. It's estrogen that thickens the endometrial lining that we shed as a period. So estrogen is a very potent growth hormone. And of course, we need that growth, for all the functions that it's also a great protector of heart and bone health and brain health. We need these hormones in the right amounts. And that's where hormone balance comes in, because the body in its wisdom has designed itself so that we have other hormones like progesterone that is produced at ovulation that will start to, balance estrogen and keep it at bay. But if we're larding on all this stuff on our skin and we're inhaling things that are fragrances and our cleaning products, and we're eating foods that are injected with hormones, because God knows the meat packing industry is injecting cattle with hormones to make them grow fat faster. And what happens to us? We grow fat faster. But estrogen, being a growth hormone, is very much linked to breast cancer. I've actually asked women to stop using the creams that they were using for a few, because a lot of women are like, oh my God, why are these levels so high? And I've asked them, let's redo these levels. I want you to stop this product. We don't exactly know what's in it. Let's stop for 5 days and then retest. And you wouldn't believe how the levels restore to normal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I should mention that in order to rid our bodies of excess estrogen, first of all, prevention is numero uno. So we're talking about how do we not in the first place expose ourselves. But, the unwitting exposure is always going to happen. So one of the things that we want to be able to do is to be aware of the things that kind of clear the system of excess estrogens. And that's where, of course, having a balance of progesterone. If you're low in progesterone, you don't want to be low in progesterone, because then estrogen is just going to get higher and higher and higher. Fiber's great for flushing out excess estrogens. And then all the cruciferous vegetables have this compound that has been shown to ferry these estrogens down the proper pathway and out. There are 3 pathways in the body, and there's only one good one. And the cruciferous vegetables can really help ferry the excess estrogens out and down that pathway.
LadyGang is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Hey, LadyGang, whether you love true crime or comedies, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you can call the shots on what you're listening to as a podcast, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance, too. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. Now, that's something you'll want to press play on. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you fast. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at Progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Introducing the new 2023 Hyundai Palisade. When it comes to your journey, Hyundai is thinking of every mile. We love our Hyundai. I drive a Hyundai. The Palisade offers all the technology, safety features, and comfort a family needs in the journey ahead. You can stay connected with the Palisade's Wi-Fi hotspot capability. The class-exclusive Safe Exit Assist prevents the rear doors from opening if the vehicle detects traffic approaching from behind. And there's an available third-row heated power folding seats. I love my heated seats. And it comfortably fits up to 8 people. I love this so much. It is your journey. Learn more at HyundaiUSA.com. These are amazing. With the Wi-Fi hotspot, it's like a game changer. And if you're a family, you're a mom or a dad, and you need your kids to be on their tablets so they'll leave you alone so you can listen to this podcast in peace in the front seat, then the Wi-Fi really helps you out. It's your journey. Learn more at HyundaiUSA.com. Safe Exit Assist is not a substitute for driver or passenger attentiveness. Always be aware of your surroundings and attentive of approaching vehicles.
You're listening to the LadyGang.
I have a selfish question that I've never had a medical professional be able to answer for me, and it's about synthetic hormones. So when you're doing IVF and you're prepping your body to put the embryo inside of you, the transfer, they give you about 5 days of progesterone injections, like synthetic progesterone in a sesame oil or something like that. My body was never able to tolerate those injections, and I got violently ill like within 4 to 5 hours of injection every night. So we had to cancel my transfers because I had a fever, and you can't put an embryo in a body that's fighting something off. So there was never an explanation aside from like a hypersensitivity to the progesterone, possibly. But I connected with all these women who had that experience, but like in the medical field, there's no explanation. It was just sort of like, oh, sorry, it's not working.
Well, they're giving you massive doses.
Huge doses.
And all of these hormones work in synchrony. So to give massive doses of one hormone, I mean, obviously they're trying to provide progesterone so that you can ovulate and have a successful fertilization. You have to have that progesterone after ovulation, or produced upon ovulation. But a synthetic progesterone is not the way to go. I thought that some of these IVF programs used natural bioidentical progesterone. I should do a little research and find out which ones do, because bioidentical progesterone is the good guy. Right. Bioidenticals of all sorts, all these hormones, bioidentical means identical in structure and molecular function to the hormones our own bodies make. So when I was talking about that puzzle piece or landing on that docking pad, it fits. A natural bioidentical hormone fits. The synthetic hormone doesn't fit. It's kind of like jamming the door open and then just overstimulation. So it's got to be bioidentical. And if it's not, then it's going to create all kinds of problems like you're describing. Bioidenticals also should be used if you're just using like progesterone, as so many young women, women going into perimenopause really can benefit from using some natural progesterone to even out the slings and arrows, the roller coaster. But it's got to be the bioidentical. It's got to be used in Goldilocks doses, like physiologic doses where you're just replacing what your body isn't making, perhaps. And used in sync with your cycles also.
I had a question, kind of, you're talking about the birth control and how that affects you. And then we were talking about periods and how that is your body's like way to like flush out, a lot of stuff that's going on. So what happens when somebody's like on a hormonal IUD and their period just stops? Is that really bad for your hormones because you're not having that like monthly release?
Well, I mean, any sort of hormonal birth control is going to work by pretty much suppressing ovulation. And when you're not, so when you're not ovulating, the ovaries are the main source of hormone production. So, that's really the big problem there. And I think that, we have so many good options now to use these fertility trackers so that you can, you guys are all digital natives. You can get onto this fertility trackers and figure out when you're about to ovulate and when you're fertile. And they're pretty much 97% effective. And that's a much better way to go than any kind of synthetic hormone contraceptive that is really going to mess with your hormones. And not having periods and not ovulating is, down the road. I see women your age or on birth control that have the same symptoms as women in menopause. They're depressed, can't lose weight, they've got hot flashes and night sweats, they've got vaginal dryness, their skin is dry, their hair is dry, all the symptoms of estrogen and progesterone imbalance. So why go there when we have better options now? And, I always say I was the first in line with birth control back in the 60s. I wanted to live with my boyfriend. I didn't want to get pregnant. I'm all for family planning. But I think we have better options now.
What would you say to women who are hearing this? And it's like, yeah, I want to get my shit together, but where do I start? Yes, I want to know, is my progesterone low in this time? And like, just what would you say is the most, actionable, less intimidating step?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to know your symptoms. Symptom awareness is the first step. We have a symptom quiz at yourhormonebalance.com. If you go there, it's going to give you an idea, answering all the questions, whether or not you're pretty likely to have a hormone imbalance. Heavy, painful periods, cramping that are, maybe incapacitating, Jekyll and Hyde moods, bad PMS, bad periods, weight gain that just won't go, bloating, tender breasts. How about that? Fear of hugging. so tender that how many women have I talked to? That's estrogen dominance. These are all, imbalances of hormones. So know the symptoms first, and then, take action. The testing confirms the symptoms. The testing says, yeah, look at your estrogen level relative to your progesterone, or look at your testosterone level. It's really low or it's really high. And that's why you have acne and PCOS. But then all of that goes back to, we identify these levels as high or low. We can identify specific imbalances. We can identify how they tie in with the symptoms you're actually experiencing, which is really good because most women will say, oh my God, I'm so glad there was something wrong. I finally know, I'm so glad there were irregularities on my test report because now I have a reason for feeling the way I do.
This is a really interesting thing. And oh my God, we need to bring it back for the fourth time because we have so much more that we wanted to talk about. But
I know.
I do want to touch on perimenopause just a little bit personally. And also because I know this is like the age. So this kind of is around 38. You could start seeing signs. I actually, I think that I'm getting there because I've had a lot of health issues this year and I've done every test under the sun. And the last piece is coming back to you. We've done my hormones before, which was amazing, is coming back to you for a new write-up. And it's really interesting to me because I see it in the Facebook group all the time. The girls are like, I'm so tired. Tell me about my thyroid. Tell me about this. And like, you go to the doctor and they test all these things and it's so debilitating when you're sitting there and they're like, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And I literally, like, the other day was at the doctor and he was like, well, I want to look at this. And he's like, I want to do this extended range now because the panel that they give everyone was like clean. I literally like melted off that little chair into a puddle on the floor. I was like, please help me. Like, please help me. I can't exist like this. And I do think hormones are such a big part of that. But here's my question for today. I remember Suzanne Summers was like, how I stay young and my husband 10 times a day is like these hormones.
On the kitchen table.
It's like all of these hormones. And then I'm starting to hear, because I'm sort of at that perimenopause age, like, oh, you need to make sure that you're ahead of it, that you're not like, depleted or whatever, and then see all the signs and then have to like pick up the slack. So what can someone who's 40-ish start to do to like prepare themselves for this?
Well, yeah, it used to be that perimenopause was sort of expected around the mid 40s, but now we're looking at these levels getting really wonky around late 30s and early 40s because there's an abundance of stress in the land, right? And, what we've just been through with COVID, et cetera, I'm sure if there was data out there, how many women were catapulted into the perimenopause. And yeah, it's right that you can, all these things I was mentioning before, getting rid of the xenoestrogens, the chemicals in your diet, in your life, your beauty products, et cetera. That's so important. Eating properly, managing your stress, the superfluous stress. Do we really need to, go to every single appointment? Can we cancel? Are we chilling out? I don't think a lot of people know how to relax anymore. We're just kind of jacked up and we're constantly in a state of excess cortisol hormones, which, by the way, kind of take over when the adrenals are overperforming and in overdrive because we're going, and we're not sleeping enough and we're not ovulating and we're over exercising. So all those things, you need to do. And you need to know what your levels are, because if they're really out of balance, that's when you start to take action. You see it on the paper, you see, okay, I get it. I need to make some changes because this is astonishingly off. And I'm only 40 years old, but there should be some inevitable fluctuation. I saw there was an article in Vogue recently about menopause and perimenopause. And one of the doctors that was quoted said something about anybody that tells you that they can clinically prove you're in perimenopause is bullshitting you. And I thought, well, that's bullshit because, forget the clinical proof. You're in perimenopause when you have all of these symptoms. When you have hot flashes and night sweats, your moods are all over the place. Your fuse is short. You're bleeding, the bleeding changes that you're having. Your periods are getting heavier or lighter or crampier, or they've gone AWOL entirely. Your libido, you'd rather delete emails. You know, you're not, all of these things should clue you in that, yeah, you're in the perimenopause and you feel stressed, and you feel stress is kind of overwhelming. That word overwhelm, when you feel overwhelmed, or you're ready to run a marathon at night when you should be calming down and, you know, falling asleep and staying asleep. These are all things that are potent signs. Then you see it in a test result, and then you take steps to turn it around, because you can. Yep. You know, you can manage stress hormones. You can add in things. You look at the supplements you're taking. You look at your nutrients that you're getting into your diet. You look at your exercise program. You look at whether you're in sync with your cycles, aligning all of those things with your cycles. And then you make the changes that you have to make. And it doesn't have to be that overwhelming, because there are things for each aspect. It's a holistic thing. It doesn't, and we, in our rebalancing guide, we say, okay, try this, this, and this for the estrogen dominance. Try these things we know are helpful for sleep and adrenal support. And, you know, it's all of the things you can take, but it's also the changes you have to make in your lifestyle.
Yep. I love this so much. All right. Well, we're booking you for the 4th comeback. Candice, you're the love of our lives. YourHormoneBalance.com is where you can head over to take that quiz, learn more about Candice and Jess and Ryan and everything that they're doing over there. The Instagram is at Your Hormone Balance. And then I know that you're going to give the LadyGang a deal.
We have a great Instagram, by the way, and a newsletter. There's so much information. It's fun. And we want to give a code. Use the code LG50 and you'll get $50 off any package. And the packages that we have, we're sort of, they're different, each one. Some are without a consult. Some are, you know, have a customized rebalancing guide, but I think people should choose the customized rebalancing guide. And you can add a consult with me or with Jess, because a lot of women just need to know what the hell is going on. I need to talk to somebody. I think people really need to talk to someone. So we have those packages too. And now we even have a way for you to kind of have your own portal and get into your private hormone information. I love it. LG50, ladies. Take advantage of it.
50.
Right on.
You're the best. I can't wait to go through my bathroom and throw everything out. And we will
see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening. The Lady Gang is produced by Alex Ingber, Steve Delameter, and Jared Monaco. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And if you love it, share it with your friends on social media. Like, oh my God, I just listened to Lady Gang. This episode's so great. Swipe up to listen. And if you really want to, which we know you do, please follow us on social. At Kelty, at Becca, at Jack Vanek, and at The Lady Gang. Sign up for our newsletter at theladygang.com and join our secret Facebook group. It's super fun. See you next Tuesday.
Saddle up and get ready for Westerns Weeks on Pluto TV, all for free. We're coming in blazing with favorites like True Grit and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Or immerse yourself in binge-worthy series like Yellowstone and Walker, Texas Ranger. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies, TV shows, and more. The best part? It's free. No credit card, no sign-up, no fees. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now.